What's up everyone, welcome back to some more Oxygen Not Included. This is going to be a tutorial video suggested by a viewer, Nal Thyr. He asks, if you can, please make a tutorial on pipe priority. Thanks. Thank you, Nal Thyr, for the suggestion. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a guide or tutorial on pipe priority and how we can use that. So first off, in Oxygen Not Included, you're generally going to have like a main line that delivers water to, various other places. Now in a normal game, you're probably going to have multiple of these main lines because one is probably not enough to supply everything, but you can apply this to each line individually. Now there are two possibilities when you're connecting to this main line. First is an input, which is any time you're directing water from somewhere else to the main line, it's an input. It's inputting water to the main line. And then you have an output, which is the opposite. Anything directing water from the main line to somewhere else. So you're taking it away. And we can use the way bridges and other plumbing and ventilation equipment function to control how the flow is prioritized through these inputs and outputs. This equipment includes bridges, valves, and shutoffs, as I have here, but other equipment can also be used, like a metal refinery can also function as one of these, but it's a little more awkward to set up. The priority of outputs, meaning a line taking something from the main line and directing it somewhere else, is first come, first serve. So if I wanted to make sure my bristle farm here was always saturated with water over any other area, I would need the output line directing water to that farm before anything else on that line, as I have it here. And the water will always prefer to go through a valve or a bridge or any type of machinery that's connected to the main line before it goes through the main line itself. So if I connect this here, we can see that water is not going through the main line, it's preferring to go up here. And only once this line has backed up does the water actually flow through the main line. By the way, Liam has been bugging me for a while. He has a message he wants to share with everyone. So go ahead, Liam. It's your time. He's got stage fright. Come on. Liam, come on. They won't boo you off, I promise. They're all very nice people. Okay, here he comes. There you go, Liam. Nice. So input lines are slightly more complicated because you're introducing something into a pipe that already has something in it. So there's really only two ways you can set it up. The first way would be letting the input line empty before the main line. We can do this by adding one of our in-out devices onto the main line because the liquid in an unbroken pipe is going to give the pipe priority and not the out of this bridge. Now unbroken may have been poor word choice, but essentially this bridge here makes a break in the line. It makes a break in the connection. It's not one solid pipe. If we can deconstruct it, we can see that this is one solid pipe. And here we actually have to deconstruct the pipe and then create a bridge. So the priority is always going to go to the unbroken pipe. It's always going to go to the solid pipe, if you will, whereas the bridge kind of makes a break in the line. The second way would be the opposite, letting the main line empty before the input line. Although this is rarely what you want because the main line generally will never be empty unless there's a problem with the water source. For example, your water pump breaks, or like all my ex-girlfriends, your steam vent stops putting out. One other thing to note is that input and output lines can become main lines in respect to any lines connecting to them. Here's an example of an output line. But then we have output lines coming off of our output line. So in respect to these output lines, this output line is now a main line, and you can probably tell it can get kind of complicated when trying to describe it when you have, an output line on the output line of an output line, and then an output line on that output line. And one other thing I should mention is that the output of these bridges and valves and things, you have to kind of be careful where you put them on the line, and we can see an example of this here. So we've got our main line flowing this way for the most part, right? But then we have a complicated system here. We've got an output line and then an input line and nothing in between. So any water coming out from this bridge here is going to have one of two ways to go, because it can go this way because there's an input. There's somewhere for that water to go, but there's also an input this way. If we unpause it, we can see that the water will flow through this, giving this bridge priority. and then once it's backed up, it will start to flow this way. But it's never going to get backed up because water is actually flowing this way. So you can see that you have to kind of control the way the water is flowing in the pipe using these bridges. Now this is only in some circumstances. There's another example over here, which I don't think I actually had this bridge on at the beginning, but if I didn't have this bridge here, then once this line backed up and the main line started going over here, we could actually get water flow up through here, even though this is technically an input line. But if this bridge wasn't here, this bridge wasn't here, there's nothing telling this water flow, this output, that we can't flow this way, because there is somewhere for that water to go to, right? We have these ins from the hydroponic tiles. Now, a good rule of thumb that you can do if you're setting a system up, such as like a main line like this, is anytime that you have an output line, you know, going off of your main line, put a bridge right after it, directing the flow in the same direction that you want it. Or you can put a bridge before the input line, so something like this. That way you're never going to have water flowing backwards through your line unless you specifically want it to flow backwards, right? So just add a bridge there after each, or before each input or after each output line, and that'll protect you there. So that concludes my guide on pipe priority. No, that includes my guide on pipe priority. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up button, and leave me a comment if you have any questions or suggestions or anything like that. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.